Hello again, and thank you very much for joining us on our passive income seminar. um, I want to start off trying to help take as much of the jargon out of what is normally quite a complicated process to understand because of words. Personally, I'm of the opinion that some of these words might have been invented to try and make it harder to plug in unless you have been what they call well educated. So as someone who's keen to help everyone be well educated, no matter where you come from, I want to translate as much of that as quickly as possible. So it's probably really important to share a concept that was shared with us about a decade ago and has really transformed the way that we operate in business, the type of opportunities that we pursue, and obviously some of the outputs that we've created today also have gone on to do this for themselves. So I hope that everything shared in this seminar helps you to think with this mindset and master life perhaps in a slightly different way. So the most important lesson to cover straight away is understanding the difference between rich and wealthy. There's a lot of confusion, especially in 2022. So I think this article here helps summarize it quickly, but I've got some helpful summaries again, and then I want to get into some YouTube videos that normally help explain things a lot better, whilst we also narrate and help you guys better understand some of the content if it's a bit too wordy. So I want everyone to be able to understand the difference. My aspirations as an entrepreneur in life and what we echo and try and kind of support at Gold Seal Project is for everyone to understand what wealth is and how to be able to achieve a wealthy lifestyle. Being rich, unfortunately, just means you earn a lot of money, but quite often that money can disappear as quickly as it's been earned. So it's really about learning how to kind of dam up your income sources, which sounds really complicated, but that means just kind of block up money when it's there and not let too much slip out from your fingers, basically. So let's go into this quickly and look at what really is the difference between rich and wealthy. So according to this article and our beliefs too, the difference between rich and wealthy are two completely different concepts. Although being rich and being wealthy may be considered similar, they actually mean two very different and opposite things. And trust me, you want to know as being wealthy over rich every time. So obviously in today's modern age, we've got a lot of successful celebrities and stars around us, all projected as rich. So it says here, if you want to know what being rich means, then I want you to think of some of your popular rappers, football players, and Hollywood superstars. Sometimes it seems like they're screaming the words, "I am rich." That's because being rich is about having a lot of income, spending a lot of money, and showing off how much money you have. So being rich means that you do have lots of money, but unfortunately that might also be for a small window. And one thing that doesn't occur a lot here, particularly in the UK, is financial education. So one thing we're trying to do is reshape some of that and give some of you guys out there a better financial awareness so that you can make better decisions for yourself with your money as you come across it in whatever format in life. In fact, they actually say here that being rich could mean that you're actually also in debt. And it talks about something called a high net worth. This just means how much money you actually have after all your expenses have gone. Here's a story potentially that might resonate with people. So it says most people are rich, spend more than they earn. And if you read any of my budgeting articles, then you'll know that to become rich, you'll need to spend less than you earn. So again, look at your behavioral habits to start off with and ask yourself if you're already spending more than you actually make. And you might want to address that. One of the key things I had to learn as an entrepreneur was how to try and create something from nothing and for it to try to cost me nothing at the end. And if you can develop a mindset and habits with that, it becomes a lot easier to put this into practice across the board as you're growing, developing businesses, and hopefully establishing what this seminar is about, which is passive income opportunities for yourself too. So it says here, I'll never forget this story. I was a teenage star. I met with one of my parents' friends. He was a former American baseball star. When he was playing baseball, he was 30 years old, earning $4 million a year and considered the next superstar. And the ankle injury put him out of the game and he was forced to retire at 34, which was 6 years ago. He's 40 now. He and his wife are driving $200,000 Ferraris, living in a $3 million mansion, earning £30,000 a year from a lawnmower business. And they also bought their 16-year-old daughter a £60,000 £60,000 car, which he'd crashed in 1 week. And you know what? They're broke massively, and they'll have to file for bankruptcy too. Now, if you don't know what bankruptcy is, this is when you formally run out of money as a business or an individual, and you're saying, I can't pay it off anymore. So you're going to have to acknowledge, I have no more money, and write off all my debts. But the consequence that comes with that, I can't start a business. I won't have much money. I'll have to rely on something like universal income and try and claw my life back together over a 3 to 5 year period. And then obviously after that, you can start making a little bit more money for yourself, having had your debts formally wiped off. I'm going to share this story. My father went bankrupt when I was 10. He went bankrupt for $250,000, and going through bankruptcy is a horrible process with lots of aggressive debt collectors and people moving heavy-handed trying to recover their funds. I wouldn't wish that experience on my worst enemy. And I'll be honest, it probably helped me as an entrepreneur in the future years, because a lot of the time I look back at some of the errors that were made that led to that bankruptcy, and I try not to copy them. So again, if you've experienced other people with bad spending habits around you most of your life, don't take that as a bad. They're actually the best teachers you're ever going to find, because what you've got to do is just not copy them. Okay. And sometimes a lesson for others can be a lesson for all. So again, don't look at that so bad. Here we now have a list of other people that went broke, listing some of these things. So regardless of opinions to do with him, Michael Jackson spent $10 million a year to operate his Neverland Ranch, and he was rumored to be $400 million in debt. Lindsay Lohan, partying addiction caused her to file for bankruptcy in 2012. So all of the money that she had went. Okay, Mike Tyson, you know, the champ, as many people call him, you know, a very successful boxer back in the 90s, through divorce and excessive spending, went down for 23 million in debt. So 50 Cent is another person that's being named here, had excessive spending and went back in 32. Now, 50 is a great example. We support him a lot here. And even though this story is true, he's obviously made a hell of a lot of money back through his Power franchise. So just because you go bankrupt doesn't mean you can't come back with a bang too. But the main thing they're trying to get across here is, as you can see, you can be super rich and famous and still massively in debt. So what does it mean to be wealthy? Well, if you want to achieve what they call financial freedom, which is where you don't have to work every day just to live every day, okay, then the chances are you're going to want to become wealthy, okay? Wealth has everything to do with your most precious asset, which most people don't value enough, which is time. Okay, becoming wealthy means that you will have time to do things that you want to do, time to spend with the people that you love, and time to learn about things that you want to learn about. When you are wealthy, you're not living paycheck to paycheck. Instead, you are wealthy. You can decide when and where you want to work, because you have the luxury to just walk away if you don't enjoy your job. If you're wealthy, you have a large net worth, okay? And then they give you a net worth definition. So a net worth defines how much of your assets. I'll explain what an asset is quickly now. So an asset is something that is a long-term perceived vehicle of value. Okay, I've got some really good definitions for this shortly. Okay, but often an asset is something you can make money off. So if you've done any of our music courses, for example, and as part of that you learn how to engineer, for example, and you bought yourself some studio equipment, your studio equipment is an asset because you can use that to make money. In the same way, if you bought a Lamborghini truck these days because you're an incredibly successful person with £250,000 at your disposal, you could also start a car rental business and be renting that car out for £500 a day. And obviously, you know, after a short period of time, that car is going to have paid for itself, which means you haven't paid for it. So now, again, do you see how an asset kind of helps you to make money again? A house is another example. If you bought property, for example, you would then be able to rent the property to others or sell it again in the future for a profit. So all of these hold money in them for a piece of time, and then they get to be sold at the end with a profit yielded potentially either for the use of them or the sale of them as they've grown in value. Yeah. So wealthy people focus on income producing assets because they buy time. Okay, now one of the hardest things that we're going through is at school, they're obviously teaching you how to get a job. As an entrepreneur, your mindset may have to be different to some of what school's teaching you. Now, please don't hear me saying that schools are negative. We strongly support schools still at the Gold Seal Project, but we make sure that you understand the difference between the two. Okay, which is school is teaching you how to have a formal education, which means you'll be able to function, find jobs and get opportunities. It's also teaching you maths and English, which if you want to function in business, You can't present a contract unless it's written, and you can't present a contract unless it's normally got numbers in it for you to agree on. So you're going to have to know maths and you're going to have to know English. So please don't think that school isn't relevant. What we're saying is, if you listen to everything that school sells to you as a student, it's quite likely you'll end up as an employee, which is where you then take this mindset on and start selling your time. If you want to be the owner of your own destiny, it's really important you self-educate around school to learn as much as possible. And now do you see how you're investing your time to learn greater skills that are not being taught to the mainstream? Okay, when we say mainstream, that's just what people are learning through school, basically. Okay, there's a load more information down here, and you can go through, and there's examples of people being explained more and more and more. Okay, but the big difference between rich and wealthy is a wealthy person has built a sustainable long-term wealth which buys time and freedom to do what they want. A rich person's money often doesn't last very long, and rich people often go into massive debt because of their flashy, glamorous lifestyle. We don't advise any of the second, and this whole seminar is to teach you how to think like this in the first place, as well as start showing you business opportunities to be able to create passive income. So let me define passive income for you guys quickly. So taking this wealthy mindset further, passive income, as it says down here, okay, and this is based on an American definition as well, so even though we are in the UK, I'm going to translate this a little bit more to the UK as well. Passive income is a type of unearned income that is acquired automatically with minimal labor to earn or maintain. So if you don't know what labor means, that means actual graft or work having to be put in, okay? And normally you have to do some kind of setup phase to start this, but after that you don't have to work every day and it continues. So the perfect example, in a simple way to say it, for passive income is being able to earn money in your sleep without having to put any further work in after that. Okay, and it says it is often combined with another source of income, such as a side hustle. Okay, translating that from American to UK, you know, some people set up 3 or 4 different situations. One might be work, where you're taking your money and, you know, profits and reinvesting to create a new business, and that second business you're able to staff and not necessarily work every day. And now maybe you can do that to the point where you no longer need job number 1 that helped you set up the passive income, and you can take that away. Okay, or for example, if you're doing something like YouTube content, you start this snowball and it starts to get more and more views, and down the line YouTube content is able to pay you more than what you were doing originally. You might be selling ice creams, you know, you could have a paper round, you could be working in Tesco's, any of these options, but you're creating a way for money to come in the first place, and as soon as it comes in, you're trying to get it back into stuff that becomes a long-term paying vehicle. Okay, don't worry, we're going to show you loads of resources and vehicles for that, and we've also got other seminars that help you with passive income business models too. So this is purely to define what passive income is and motivate you to be able to see and find this lifestyle for yourself if it sounds like something you want to do for yourself. Okay, passive income as an acquired income is the result of what they call capital growth. Here we go. Capital growth is an economic concept defined as the profit earned for the sale of an asset which is increased in value. Okay, so again, for example, you could buy a house, rent it for a short period of time, sell the house while the house is also a profit, and you've made all the money from the rental phase as well as the sale of the house phase. So you've got really good returns in terms of passive income from your asset, which in this case was a house. Okay, I want to go into something that's a little bit better defined for us here in the UK. Okay, so it says, what is passive income? Passive income is a source of revenue that continues even after the work is complete. For example, the royalties from a book or a film, or for music, okay, or these days it could be streamed content online, so something like a YouTube channel, a podcast, you could create a blog, yeah, some sort of training material that people sort of license, rent, or pay to watch. Once you've made the effort, that sustains, and stuff keeps circling over and over and over again, requiring you to work less and obviously make people go back to the point of sale to spend money with you again. Okay, and it's another helpful way of explaining it here. There's loads of stuff. Remember, everything that we share in these seminars here is also shared with you in a Word document. So if you want to go through this, you can. This is a little bit more focused around trying to get your current money in your bank to work for you even more. Okay,